I don't know what class we're on now, I've lost track, but we're going to start. I'm just checking that my monitor's come on. Yes, it's on. I think the view's okay. Well, you know, you can see me is what I mean. I'm going to start with a standing up start today, so it's a little bit different, just to give you just some change really, because we've been here a long time now, so just to vary it a little bit. And there's useful standing up exercises because you can do them without doing the full class, so you can do them while you're standing at the sink or just getting a bit bored. Just check when we're standing up that you've got enough space, because the space you need standing up is obviously different to the space you need lying down, particularly overhead, so just check you're not going to catch any light fittings. I'm not doing shoes today because it's too hot, so you can have your shoes on, but make sure that if you haven't got slippers on where your feet are going to slide out of them, so check your footwear is sensible for exercise. Shoulders back and down. Now when you're standing up, try not to sink into yourself. It's very tempting when you're standing to kind of let all the weight sit in your hips. So I want you to imagine a thread pulling from the bottom of your spine all the way up through the top of your head. So you're lengthening out of your hips a little bit. That doesn't mean you need to tense the legs. The legs are quite relaxed, but you're lifting out of these hips, and that will switch the abdominals on for you. So you haven't really got to work so much on gripping them tight. You've just got to think about stretching up, rolling the shoulders down. Okay. Then we're going to start with the neck. Once your shoulders are back, you're going to start just turning your head from side to side. Imagine your head sitting on the shelf and just turning your head, so you're just getting a glance around the room. I'm just going to set my clock so I know how long I've got you here for. I haven't got another group outside waiting, nagging for me to finish like I usually have in real life, so I could keep you here all day. Just turning your head. Good ones to do these neck exercises. You don't have to do it specifically in an exercise class, but if you're spending time looking at your laptop, or you're just in one position with your neck for a period of time, just moving it, just mobilise it. Okay, then come back to centre. Tuck your chin in, look down, look centred, and lift your chin, look up. Remember, your head's quite heavy, so don't throw it back. Lift up through the front of the neck, and then centre and down. So just working the front and back of the neck. Check your feet a comfortable distance apart, and that you're using all of your feet for balance. I tend to stand forward without realising it, so all the weight goes in my toes. So try and keep reminding yourself just to spread the weight out through your feet. Lengthening through the spine so you're not sinking into your hips. And then we're going to tilt the head. Remember, I keep turning around so you get different ways of seeing the exercise, but you just face the way you're facing. Tilting your head. Just feeling that stretch down the side of the neck. And if you want to, as your head goes over to one side, you can just let the opposite shoulder sink down slightly, just to increase the stretch, as long as it feels comfortable for you. Stretching through the neck. Hope you've had a good week. It's been a bit hot this week. I was going to do the class yesterday, but it just got too hot in here for me to concentrate, so I thought I'd put it off for today. It's not quite as hot today. Hope the technical stuff's okay. I'm on my own doing it today. I've been let loose with technology, although could do all sorts, couldn't I? And then my favourite one, so put your chin on your shelf, push your chin forward, and wind your neck in. So on this one, what we're trying to do is stop the head dropping forward, which tends to happen when we're sat using laptops and driving. We tend to drop forward into the neck. So pull back and imagine a wall behind you that you're pressing your head against. You're trying to pull your chin in. I won't do this facing you, it's not flattering. And with this Twitch and Facebook, they tend to freeze you on the most unflattering picture. So push forward and try and line your head up with the back of your shoulders, with your spine. Very good if you're a bit round shouldered, just to help you wind that neck in. Alright, and then we move on to the shoulders, so relax the neck. Okay, so move your shoulders around a little bit, try and level them up, and then you're shrugging up to your ears and easing down. So it's like you've just stood under some nice warm water. Just relax the tension out of your shoulders, let them drop down. Pull them up. And start to be aware of feeling your shoulder blades moving across your back. And then we're going to make it a circle. So as you pull your shoulders up now, you're going to pull them back and down. So you're just making a circle. So you'll start to feel your chest just lift up slightly as your shoulders pull back and down. And you can start to make that move bigger. Remember, your warm-up is about starting to improve the mobility in your body. So bit by bit the range gets bigger, but you don't want to force it. You just want to allow your body to start to loosen up. And you can always do more reps if you feel you need to do more. Then we're going to reverse the circle, so come up and forward, and you can tuck your chin in a little bit if you want to. Let's stretch across the back of the shoulders. Winding, and again you make that circle bigger as your body starts to loosen up. Check you haven't started to sink into your hips, so still lifting up and out of those hips. And then we're going to go into the shoulder itself. So start with your hand just resting lightly on your shoulder and circle your elbow around. Let's mobilise inside the shoulder. And the other way. Heard it on the radio the other day. I thought I'm going to have to share this with you. Just reverse back again. When the country opens up a bit more and you're able to go to the pub and restaurants, the one thing you're not allowed to do is lean on the bar. See? See? All those times I was telling you, you're not allowed to lean. Make that an arm circle. It's official now. The government said so. Circle round. No leaning. And round the other way. I do love being right. It's my favourite thing. Yeah, so just mobilise inside that shoulder. And then onto your other one. So start with the elbow. Just lighter, remember, just with your arm bent. It's just a smaller lever, so it's easier to move. And again, if you find yourself sitting for periods, using your laptop, especially if you're working from home, you might not be sat in the best position. Try and sit as upright as you can if you're working from home. You've been doing it a few weeks now possibly, so try not to let bad habits slip in. Back again. Every now and then just roll those shoulders, loosen up. And make that into a big arm circle if you want to. And then we bring both arms in together, so reach up and reach back. Got your cup, sorry. Reach up and reach back. Try not to overreach. We don't want the lower back getting involved yet, so we're still keeping the ribcage down and round. Just control my cups while we're doing this. Okay, and then just for the back of the shoulder, we'll do a bit of dumb waiter. So for this one, put your elbow about level with your waist. Have your forearm parallel to the floor and roll your shoulders back and down. And then you take the hand out to the side and back to centre. So as the hand goes out to the side, the elbow stays quite close to the body. Then it comes across your front. Just grab a drink. So we're not letting the whole body rotate, keeping the chest facing forward. So we want to feel the shoulder blade move. Pulling the shoulders back again. Very useful if you're a bit round shouldered. You're pulling the shoulder back and across your front. You can lift the arm away from the body if you want to. Pull it in, across the front. Keep the head still. Across the front. And then same on the other side, so put your elbow about level with the waist, shoulders back, take the hand out and across the front. You're going to have one side better than the other. This is my weaker side. I have to work a little bit harder on this. So you're trying to retract the shoulder, pulling it back. It's tempting to just bring the hand up, but that's not getting into the shoulder, and you want to make sure that you keep those shoulders back to avoid injuring your rotator cuff. Pull back and then add on the extension if you want to. Weight on both feet, head reaching for the ceiling. Again, it's tempting when you think about working one particular part of the body and doing one function, it's time to forget everything else. So reach up, that's where you get your injuries when you're guarding and stuff, because you forget about posture. So reaching up through your head. And then we do both together if you want. So take both hands out and reach, pull in. So we're starting to work under the shoulder blades a little bit more. Reach out, pull in, across. Torso remains lifted. So when the arms come in, we don't sag. Keep the chest lifted. Reach out. Reaching the head for the ceiling. You'll find that as soon as you think about stretching up through the spine, these abdominals naturally engage, rather than you having to think about pulling them in and causes you to hunch into yourself. Lengthen the spine and it'll do it for you. Okay, then we're going to get more into the torso. So we'll start with our stretching. You might want your feet a little bit wider apart, lift up through the spine, shoulders back. Wind the neck in a little bit if you find it's tempted to pull forward, and then slide your hand down your leg and come back up again. So the torso is moving, the pelvis isn't. It's a nice heavy tailbone pulling down, grounding you. Lengthen out of those hips. Add on the opposite arm if you want to come over, reaching through. Again, you might want your feet a little bit wider if you feel a bit off balance. And you're looking for that stretch down the side of the body there, reaching out, stretching. So you're trying to get that separation from the hip and the ribs. Good. Reaching over. Press down through your opposite foot just for grounding and reach across with your fingers. Slide, press through your opposite foot, reach over. Once more, reach. I'm going to change this slightly to get a little bit more stretch. So you can do the same. You're going to start the same. Reach over, reach out with your hands. So you're reaching to the opposite wall, and then you're going to twist. So the opposite shoulder is going to come across, and then untwist and down. So slide and reach, get that side stretch, and then a little rotation towards the floor. Really push away from that hip. Untwist and up. Quite often get people with them gardening get discomfort around here where they've reached and pulled things. So it's a good stretch. So you bring your arm over and then you rotate the shoulder down and you push from the hip all the way through to the fingers. Untwist and up. Quite often I have a little line of confession. Oh, I've got pain here from doing my gardening. Twist it out. Once more. Reach, press down through your opposite foot. Little rotation, reach through the arm, lengthen the spine, untwist. Last one. Slide over, press down through your foot and reach with your hand, rotate down, reach that arm, lengthen the spine, untwist, back up, roll those shoulders back. Lovely, it's got a bit of movement there. We'll do a bit of spine twist just to isolate that centre. So have your feet again about hip distance, lift out of the hips, roll the shoulders back and put your arms in a box shape about chest level, so your elbows are about level with your shoulders. Now keep your hips still and rotate the torso. And back to centre. Same as that. Now again, this one's going to be easier if you lift up out of the hips. If you sink down into your hips and move, then there's not a lot of movement in the body. Can't go very far. Stretch up and rotate. Nice heavy tailbone hanging down, pulling down. Feet planted for balance. Slide those shoulders down. They tend to come up a bit when we get a bit, find the work gets a bit challenging. So pull them down and twist. You might need to think about your 10-pound note between your buttocks on this one. Get the bum muscles engaged to help you keep that pelvis from moving. Keep that spine mobility, so when you are back driving about and doing your everyday stuff, if you haven't started already, then you're able to move the car off the drive and out of those parking spaces. Twisting, looking over your shoulder. Alright, then into the hips. So we'll start with a little bit of squatting. Hands in the small of your back to start. We're going to stretch the spine first. So hands in your back pockets. Pull your shoulders back and down and lift your torso. Use your back muscles to lift you up. And then relax. Bring your arms out in front. You're going to reach forward with your hands as you reach back with your hips and sit down. Press through your feet and come back up. Hands back in the back pockets. Shoulders back and down. Chest lifts. Relax, arms forward, sit. Don't let your shoulders hunch when your arms come forward. You're reaching out of those shoulders and sitting your hips out. It's for balance. So it allows you to sit your hips a little bit lower. Press through your feet, pull yourself up, get your balance, hands in the back pockets and lift the torso. And sit again. So push forward with your arms as you sit back with your hips. You'll find you can sit a little bit lower and we get these hips loosened up. Press through your feet to come up. Once more, lift the torso. Slide your shoulders down your back. Release. Sit down. And pull yourself up. Stretch for the hamstrings and just to start relieving any tension in the lower back. You can put your hand on the wall for this one if you want to, or on your thighs, whatever's comfortable for you. Feet a little bit wider, toes facing forward. Move your hips back a smidge just so the weight's in your heels. Keeping your back straight, hinge at the hip. So you're pushing up. Belly pulled in for support, shoulders down. Hands on your legs, not pressing on your knees, on your legs. Or if it's not enough support, put your hands on the wall. Squeeze your butt and pull yourself back up. Shoulders level with hips. Have another go. Hips back a bit and then push up, keeping your back nice and straight. So suck your belly in for support, reach through your head. Try not to push on your legs, just use it for support. Push your hips up. I want you to feel that stretch down the back of your legs. Hamstrings get very tight if you've been sitting a lot. I need to stretch them back out. Pull yourself back up, tuck your bum back in, line your shoulders up. Once more, hips back and up. If you can now, just to get the upper back a little bit more stretched, stay in this hamstring stretch and bring your arms level with your ears. Push away with your arms again. Push back with your hips. Pull your shoulders back and down. Press your sternum away. Press your chest bone away. Put your hands back on your legs and pull yourself up. We'll have one more go. That's tough, that is. So hips back slightly and up. Nice straight back. Abdominals pulled in. Bring your arms level with your ears. Push your arms forward. Squeeze your shoulders back. We want that sternum out, not pulled in. Push back. Hand on the legs and pull yourself back up. It's a good one, isn't it? A little bit of work for the lower legs now. So again, this has a little bit of a balance element in it. So use a chair. If you need to go and grab a chair, just stop the video, or use the wall if you want to. And you're just going to rock on your feet, just to wake your feet up a bit. Doesn't have to be a big lift, and just soften your knees. So we're starting to use the lower legs and the feet. Get forgotten about, massive part of your balance and your posture. So bit by bit that lift cuts get a little bit bigger as the calf muscles wake up and the feet start to loosen up. Reach up through the top of your head, lengthen up for the ceiling. Use your big toes, press down into your big toe, into the ball of your feet, lift. And you'll feel the front leg muscles switch on when you come up that bit higher. Big part of your balance. Once more. And then just a bit of work for the hips. Again, we're going to be standing on one leg, so use a chair if you want to, or the wall. And you're just going to move your foot forward and back, keeping the the pelvis as still as you can. What I mean by that is we don't want to just be swinging through the hips. So we're mobilising inside that hip joint. And you can stay with your foot tapping the floor if that feels like it's the right work for you, or you can swing it with a knee bend, depending on how your balance is feeling today. So reach up through your head, and we're just mobilising through the hip. Now to move the leg back, squeeze your butt. We want to stretch through the front of this hip here. Lift, so your belly shouldn't push forward as your foot goes back. Swing it, use this hip. Have a go on the other leg. I'm going to turn around so you see what I'm doing. So start low, forward and back, just working through the hip. Pull the abdominals and use your bum muscle to pull the leg back. Tends to be where most of us are quite tight. Just in the front of that hip there. So stay low, or if you're happy standing on one leg, bend the leg and you're pulling that leg forward and back. We won't do both legs together, it gets very messy. Reach up through your head. Remember, tendency to sink down because we're a bit not sure about balance. So reach up, find a spot to look at you in front. Look at you, to look at in front. Hopefully it's not looking at you, you're looking at it. It just loosens up the front of the hip. And then the side of the hip. So square on, shoulders back, stand up straight, leg out and in. So we're just tapping the floor to start with. So we're just working into the abduction to move away and back in, that's it. And again, stay low if it's right work for you. Or take the leg out, bring it up, sweep it out. Try and keep the pelvis as still as you can, so a little squeeze in this centre. You want to work inside the hip joint as much as possible. Remember, it's not about how high that leg lifts. You want to feel the bum muscles engaging to move the leg. And the other side, you set your feet out and in. See how that feels. Try not to hoik the hip up as the leg moves out. So the hip bones stay square. Stand up straight. And then add on the little sort of L shape if you can. So lifting the knee, sweeping the leg out. Again, we won't do both together. We'll just stay one at a time. Hands can just rest on your hips if you want to, just to help you keep them nice and still. So you're stopping, I'm doing my right leg, so I'm making sure my right hip doesn't hoik and lift up. Reach up through the spine, just loosening around the hips. And then give your legs a shake. A little bit of feet work, so waggle your feet, toes around. Pick your toes up and put them down. Do a little bit of a drum roll, so little toe to big toe. Roll through them, stretch them out. I know you like the toe work. Right, we're going to do a little bit of spine mobilising now, so it's going to involve us rolling down. It is not appropriate for people with osteoporosis because you're unsupported, and it's not safe for anybody who's got a slip disc that hasn't gone back in and stayed in. So if either of those apply to you, choose one of the exercises we've done so far. So you can do a few more squats if you want to. They're really good for building up your bum strength, which will support your back. You can do a little bit of rolling, getting your balance, a bit of rotation, or you can just fast forward onto when we get down on the floor. But the rest of you, feet about hip distance apart, and just get your weight centred in your feet. And your weight's going to be slightly more in the middle of your foot than it is your heel now. And we start with the neck. So we look down and we let the spine round. We're not sticking the bum out really, we're just softening the legs and rounding and feeling that stretch down the spine. Stopping at any point we want to allow it to stretch, and then carrying on slowly down. Don't rush to the floor, allow the spine to stretch. And you want to feel all that tension pulling up out of the spine as you roll down. Let the weight come forward in your feet and soften your knees as much as you want to. Relax the neck. Just rock on your feet just a little bit to make sure the weight's not sinking into your heels. You might find you just sink a little bit lower just with that little rocking action. And then you can grab your elbows, relax the neck. So you're looking back, not down, and a little bit of a rock from side to side. Keep letting the weight come forward in your feet, sending your tailbone up. Little bit by little bit, you will find your spine starts to release and your legs start to release. And all the blood's rushing to your head, so put your hands on your legs and tighten your belly and slowly come back up, building your spine back up. Head always comes up last. We have one more go at that. So roll the shoulders. Very good for releasing a lot of tension in the lower back. That. So roll the shoulders, start again, tuck your chin. Let the weight just be in the middle and front of your feet and soften your knees and start to roll down. You'll find that point where your spine needs to stretch. And you stay there. I've found mine, that's where mine gets very tight, so you just hang out there a little bit longer, and when it releases you can carry on a bit further, stopping anytime you want to. It's not about touching the floor, this move, it's about releasing the pressure and the tension in the spine. Relax the neck, and this time we're just going to circle the arms a little bit, letting the weight come in the front of the feet. You can circle one way or you can do opposites. Swallow my necklace there, move that out of the way. Relax the neck. So the crown of your head is facing down and you're looking between your legs. Let your weight rock a little bit on your feet if your legs have locked out. Just rock forward and back, just a smidge. Hang a little bit lower, maybe. Send that tailbone up. You might find you can bring your chest in a little bit closer to your legs. You might not. Okay, this time we're not going to stand up, so all you're going to do is bend your knees, put your hands on the floor and come down onto your mat. So those of you who were avoiding the roll down because it wasn't for you, you can come and join us down on your hands and knees. Alright, let's address our mat. So we're going to go round in a circle. Moving round, and again, this circle will get bigger as your hands start to stretch out and your hips start to loosen both directions. You might find your hands have swollen up a bit last few days because it's been so warm. Let's give them a bit of a stretch out. Moving around, making that move a little bit bigger if you can. Bit of forward and back, so tuck your toes. My toes do not bend. I think I was missing that joint from birth, but yours might. So sitting back, coming forward. Okay. Set yourself in your table position, so hands under shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to do a bit of swimming, a bit of balance work. So Get yourself level first. Weight, shoulders are level, hips are level. Lengthen through your spine for balance. Press down a little bit harder into your right hand and slide your right foot back, just resting on the foot. Press down a little bit harder in your right hand. Pull your belly in and squeeze your bum and slide your left hand forward. Now there's a tendency to overreach, so pull the shoulder back, line it up with the right hand, right shoulder, push down a little bit more into your right hand and lengthen the spine, and then see if you can lift the left hand and the right foot off the floor. Squeeze your butt to lift that leg, don't let your belly drop. Put the hand and foot back down, put them back in position. Now I want you to do it that slowly if you can. If you do this move quickly, then you might be hiding imbalances. So you go really quick and not noticing your body weaving around. So press down through your left hand, slide your left leg back, square your hips. Press down a little bit harder in that left hand, slide the right forward. Pull that shoulder back, square it up. Suck your belly, clench your buttock on that left leg, lift the arm and leg. Doesn't matter how high they lift. If you overlift, there's a tendency to drop in the middle anyway. So push the floor away, square the shoulders and the hips. Check your weight hasn't dropped over to your right hip, pull it back to centre. Back down, back in. We're just going to do one more on each side. So square up first, get your table level. Press through the right hand, slide the right leg back, square your hips. Press a little bit harder in your right hand to allow you to reach your left forward. Pull that shoulder back, squeeze your butt, lift your arm and leg, push away from that floor. Lengthen the spine, find your balance. If your weight is hung out over to the left side, pull it back to centre. Back down, in, check your position. Sometimes the knees come together and you haven't noticed. Last side, so press down through the left hand, slide the left leg back. Check those hips haven't dropped out of position. A little bit harder into that hand, slide the right hand forward, pull the shoulder back, squeeze the butt and lift. Use this time to just keep doing that check down the shoulders and the hips. Sometimes the weight drops onto this side, you're going to feel it in this hip, pull back to centre. Squeeze your butt to lift that leg. Back down and back. Good. A little bit of sitting back into just a high child's pose just to release after that one. And then we're going to do a bit of 3/4 plank with a bit of press up into it. Yes, we are. So from here, grab a drink if you want one, then bring your hands further forward. Start to bring your weight forward onto your hands. Push down through your hands and squeeze your butt. Keep your chest lifted. Don't drop. Sit up and sit back. And you can stay with this. It's 3/4 plank. Don't drop into those hips. Those more bendy people, don't drop to the edge of that joint. Hold yourself up. Support it. Shoulders back. Push up and back. Got my hands a bit too far away. This time, if you can, add on a press up. So you come forward into your plank, shoulders back and down. You're going to bend the elbow and squeeze them against your ribs. Push back up. Sit your hips back. Do not let your hips drop more than your shoulders. We're not just hanging in these joints, so keep that spine strong. Push the floor away with your hands. I'm going to do one more at this level, then I'm going to take it to full plank if you want to. So you come forward, chest lifted, push the floor away, bend the elbows, straighten, sit back, push your hips back. You might want to creep your fingers a bit further forward for this nice stretch. Then we go to full plank if you want. So you come forward again, push the floor away, shoulders back, bum squeezed. Tuck the toes, straighten your right leg. Then your left leg, bend your elbows, push the floor away, put your knees down, sit back. Do 2 more of those. Spine must be strong and supported. If you feel that your spine is dropping, stay on your knees. 3/4, tuck the toes, straighten one leg, the other leg. Feel that weight push away from that floor. Bend the elbows. Push up. Knees down. Sit back. One more, but if your body's telling you it's had enough, then don't do the extra one. Tuck the toes. Keep the chest lifted. Straighten one leg. Straighten the other leg. Bend the elbows. Straighten. Sit back and stretch. Oh dear. Hope that didn't distract you too much. Okay, we'll do a nice bit of stretching here after that one. So, a bit of child's pose stretching. Bring the big toes together, separate the knees, sit back on the feet. To stretch the quads out, if you sit up quite high to start with, you can always put a cushion under your bum if it doesn't touch, if you can't touch your feet, and that will stretch out the quads. If you've been doing a lot of cycling and walking and these quads are getting a little bit tight on you, it's a good stretch for them. You'll feel it in your knees because it's where the quads attach. Then come forward, reach the arms forward, push the hips back. So pelvis is quite square, so you're pushing back through both sitting bones towards the heels, and we're going to do some side stretching. So you're going to take your torso and your arms and line up your nose up with your right knee. Push your left hip back slightly, square it up. And breathe into your left side. Come back to centre, square your arms, relax your shoulders. You might be able to just move your fingers a bit further forward. Then over to the left, line your nose up with your left knee, arms are sort of either side of your ear, and push your right hip back. Breathe into your right side. Let the torso go quite heavy and sink down. And back to centre. And trying to keep the sternum, the breastbone from pulling up towards the spine. And pull the shoulders back. Do it again, so over to the right, push the right hip back. Breathe into that right side, into that left side. Pull the shoulders back and down so you're not letting your sternum pull up into you. And centre, creep the hands away a bit more if you can. And last time to the left. So line your nose up with your left knee. Arms are framing your ears. Push your right hip back. Press your sternum, press your breastbone out slightly from your spine. Hope you can hear me, I'm talking down at the floor at the moment. And come back to centre. Alright, and then we're going to lie down on your front. So we're going to get across those shoulders a little bit more. So arms down by your sides. And I want you to pull your shoulder blades together. Put your cushion under your forehead if you want to at this point, if you don't want to work your neck muscles too much. You've got a cushion or a block under your forehead, and then you're going to pull your shoulder blades together. Pull back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. You're going to feel the back of your arms working as well. So you're pulling back. Don't worry about lifting your arms, they will lift naturally. Pull your belly in a little bit and tense your leg muscles for support. Good. One more. Pull back. Lengthen the spine, tense the leg muscles. And relax. Now you can stay with that or you can bring it into swan dive. It just adds on nicely from that. So pull the shoulders back, tense the legs muscles. It's like you're trying to pull your knees up. Squeeze your belly, stretch through the spine and use your back muscles just to lift your torso slightly away from the floor. If you find you're pressing in your belly, you've come up too far. And back down. Shoulders back, belly tight, leg muscles tense, stretch the spine, use your back muscles to pull you up. So you get to that point where you're pressing on your belly or your hips, you've gone too far. Back down. One more. Pull together, squeeze the belly, tense the legs, stretch that spine, lift out those hips, and then pull yourself up. back down. Well done. Up onto your elbows and we'll have a nice back stretch. Elbows further forward if you find the stretch is too intense, otherwise underneath your shoulders. Relax your belly and tense your leg muscles a little bit. Use your back muscles to lift you up. So sliding your shoulders down your back, pressing your breastbone, your sternum forwards, tensing the legs for support. Okay. If you can from here, start to kick your feet in. If that's too intense, lie back flat for this bit of the move. And we want to keep the front of the pelvis down on the floor for this move. If it's lifting and twisting, then we're not getting a stretch in the quads and we're not activating the hamstrings properly. So sink your pelvis down, press your breastbone forward and kick your feet. You might need your knees a little bit wider if your hips are very tight. Pull in. Have your elbows further forward if you want to just release the stretch slightly. Try not to twist. Again, you're going to have one leg that's easier to pull in than the other. Take your time. Keep lifting the sternum, try not to sink down. That's a sign that the work's a bit too much. If you've sunk down like a tortoise, either lie flat or move your elbows forward. Pulling in. Some of you might really like this stretch, I know some of you do. So if you want to go for a fuller stretch, bend both knees and you're pulling your feet in and you're trying, as you can see I'm doing, getting your head and your feet touching. What? Press down through the front of your hips. If you're more able to do a deeper stretch, remember, listen to your body. If it says it doesn't want to do it, don't do it. But what you can do if it feels okay is lift your elbows off the floor. Pressing down into the front of the pelvis, lifting the torso. And back to the floor. And a nice release child's pose after that. So come up and ease back. It's quite good after that stretch. Hips should be a bit looser now. Then we're going to lie on the side. Grab a quick drink on the way. Very warm, hasn't it? Sorry about the slurping noise. So onto your side. Get your shoulders level. Use your arm or your block. Bring your feet forward. We're going to do a little bit of arm circling. So we'll start with the arm bent. And we're just going to circle it round. Opening the torso. Pulling the shoulder back. Circling round. Keep lengthening the spine. When you lie down, it's very tempting to just sink into the floor. It just reduces your range of motion. So stretch out to the floor, draw the ribcage up slightly and circle. Stay with the low version with the arm bent or bring the arm up and around. Reaching, twisting. Feel that shoulder blade moving. Press down into the legs for a bit of balance to help you get a good reach. Reaching forward and around, supporting your head. One more. And then we'll do our legs. Keep your legs in this position. Lift the torso. Now draw that ribcage up. We need this torso really stable as we lift this top leg to about hip height. Press down a little bit through your bottom leg and use these top leg muscles to lift it. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and down. And when you're ready, do it again. So a little bit of pressure through the bottom leg. Lift the top leg. Try and keep it lined up. Imagine pushing against an invisible force. You can put your hand there to be that force if you want. So you're pushing against that force. 3, 2, 1 and down. We're going to do one more. I'm going to remind you of things to look for. Check that your foot hasn't gone higher than your knee. That's the quite really common mistake, that one. Or that you haven't dropped back in your hip. So hips are square and you're focusing on using the muscles from the hip to the knee lift it. Push down through your bottom leg if you want to. Clench your 10-pound note between your buttocks. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, squeeze, 2, 1, and down. Put that leg in front of the one and give it a bit of a rub. Good. You're welcome. Bit of side plank now to get the side muscles stronger. So, elbow or hand for this one. Any shoulder injuries, I would not advise doing side plank. You can stay down on the floor and do some more of these leg lifts, which will build up the strength in the sides, or you can come up onto your knees and go back to that sway that we did. That works the obliques too. Otherwise, if you're going to do plank, I'm going to build it up so it's going to get tougher. Elbow or hand underneath the shoulder to start with. Bottom leg bent, top leg straight. So on this top leg, you're resting on the side of your foot. If you find you've kind of got your foot up to the ceiling and this top hip is too far back, so square up. And you can stay here if you want to, pulling away from the floor, relaxing the neck and shoulder, and that's building up your side strength. Otherwise, if you can, press into your foot and this side leg and lift up. Try not to push forward. Some people tend to push into themselves. Just up and down. So reach the arm, check your neck. You might be happier trying the option. I find it easier on my hands, so you can vary the two and see which one suits your neck better, and lift. Now you're lifting your hip away from the floor, pulling up and down. So it's that imaginary string now is lifting you from the hip up. Not pushing forward, you're not pushing your torso forward. That tends to happen if we're a bit bendy. We're trying to find a line. We're going upwards, not forwards. And down. And we can add on if you want to. Good way to build up your strength to full plank. So you come up to your 3/4 plank, press down into the side of this top leg, press down into your hand and straighten your bottom leg. Put your bottom knee back down and sit back. Feel free to swear, I can't hear you. Square your shoulders and your hips, press into your hand and your top foot, lift up, press down into your top foot a bit more, press down into your hand a little bit more, pull and straighten the bottom leg. Put it down. One more. Lift the hip, press into your hand and arm, and hand and foot, and lift the bottom leg. And down. Good. Flip over onto the other side, we'll do it all again. So arms circling to start with. Get yourself down, get your shoulders comfy. Lengthen the spine, don't sink into your hip. Start with your arm circle. Round you go. Press down into your feet for balance. And twist. It opening the torso to the ceiling. Rotating. Make it an arm circle if you want to. Reaching and stretching. Try not to sink into the floor or into your hips. Lengthen out. Okay, and then into your leg lift. So just check your feet. You can just about kind of see your toes just past your knees. So you're in a chair position. Pull that rib cage up. Hand just resting on the top leg if you want for balance. And then lift the top leg. Push against your hand. Press down a little bit in that bottom leg. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and down. That ribcage should be lifting away from the floor slightly so your spine is stacked. We don't want a C shape in that spine. Press and lift. 5, 4, 3, squeeze your bum, 2, 1 and down. And again, check you haven't sunk into your hips for this one. Lift the leg. You want to feel these outer leg muscles working right into your bum. Bottom leg is pressing a little bit, So we're working that leg at the same time. Rib cage is lifted. And down. Last one, lift. Check now as you're getting tired that you haven't gone into your bad habits of either lifting your foot higher than your knee or dropping your hip back. Should feel these leg muscles working. They might even start shaking. That's a sign they're getting tired, so this will be our last rep. And relax. Good. Side plank time. So do the alternatives if side plank isn't for you. Otherwise on your elbow or your hand. And that is really down to what suits your neck. So if you're getting a crick in your neck, try the other one and try and keep your head centred. Bottom leg bent, top leg straight. And lift up out of this shoulder. Top arm straight, and that might be as much as you want to do, and that's fine. That's building up the strength in the side of your body to prevent you sinking down, so that's fine. But otherwise, lift the arm, press into the foot, the knee, well the side of the leg really, and the arm, and lift the hip. Pull upwards and down. Check that you're not driving forwards. Happens with the more bendy people. I call it banana back if that reminds you, if you have a tendency to do that. You'll feel the pressure in the knee underneath you if you're doing that. So you're going up. And you can try being on your hand if that suits you better. And you can add the harder version if you want. Don't feel under pressure to do it, especially if you're getting tired, because you'll just hurt yourself. So hand or elbow under the shoulder, raise the arm, lengthen the spine, use your top foot and bottom knee to help you lift. Then the bottom knee is not going to be able to help you, so push down a little bit more into your foot and your hand and straighten the bottom leg underneath you. And bend it and sit down. You can do it on your forearm if you find that easier. I can show you that. So you lift, press down through your forearm and your foot, straighten your bottom leg. Lift the hips, down and again. So you're going to lift up, straighten, push the floor over your arm, straighten your bottom leg. Bend it. We're going to do one more just to check that you've got it right. Check your arm, lift yourself up, square up the shoulders and the hips, push down into the floor, straighten the bottom leg. Bend it and down. Phew. Right, onto your back. Last bit of work lying on your back. Lovely jubbly. Right. We'll do a nice bit of spine twist, supine twist rather, to start with, just to release those obliques. So knees and feet together, arms out to the side, block under your head if you want, or cushion, and then start to twist. Keeping your shoulders down, twisting from side to side, nice and easy. Letting your feet just stack on the side. Turning your head if you want to. Staying in that stretch. You might find that you can stay there a little bit longer than when we do this in the warm-up, because it's a lot further in the class than we usually do it. So you might be happy to stay there a little bit longer and try and bring that pelvis up and over a little bit more. One more. And then into our marches for our strength here. So just as before, we try not to sink either down into the floor or down into our hips. We're trying to stretch out of them, out of the floor and out of our hips. Lengthen the spine. So find your centre point, either tilted back or forward. Find that centre point where your pelvis feels about level. You could sit your glass on it quite happily. Lengthen and zip enough for support, and then lift your right foot just off the floor. Put it down and lift your left foot off the floor. Check that you're not pushing the shoulders, because you're going to be a bit tired now, so check that you're not pushing down in order to find some support. The support comes from within, not from the floor. We're not using external support. So we're stretching and lifting. nice little moves. Just lifting your foot and pulling it down. So what we're looking for on this one is not really, it's not about the legs. It's about the stability in the pelvis, that we can lift the leg without the pelvis dropping and twisting out of position. Then we can come into our knee folds. So level 1 knee fold, lift the leg. You've got your knee about level with your hip, so about 90 degrees, and your heel about level with the back of your knee. Pelvis stays fixed. Hold this position for 5 seconds. Lengthen the spine. Put the foot back to the floor. Don't wobble. Same on the other leg. So lift it. Bring the knee to the level with the crease in your hip. Drop the foot slightly if your foot's up here. Use the hamstrings. Lengthen out of that spine. And down. You're going to have a curve in your back. If that curve feels too big, if you don't feel that you can support it, you can put your hands underneath if you want to, or a rolled up towel if you feel that that curve in your back needs some support. Try and avoid pressing back hard into it, because that's going to just sink you into a pelvic, into a sort of an ab curl really. Lengthen out. Stay on level 1 if you're in later stages pregnancy, or you've got any problems with the lower back, or you just prefer level 1, stay here. Otherwise, one leg up. Now, you can bring your knee in a little bit closer to support your back if you want to, or keep it at 90 degrees. Lengthen the spine, zip the centre, and float the second leg up. Hold it for your 5 count. Breathe deep right into expand this rib cage. One at a time, feet to the floor. Remember, this is the one that makes Pilates look really easy. So you float the one leg, bring it in a bit closer if your lower back needs it. Squeeze and lengthen. Float the second leg up. Feet down one at a time. The legs look weightless. That's what we're aiming for. Once more, lift, stretch the spine, squeeze the centre, float the second leg. Bend the knees a little bit more if the feet are too high. Hold it for your 5 seconds. Feet down one at a time. Good. Single leg kick to finish the strength work here. So again, we'll start with level 1. Bring the one leg up. Bring the opposite arm so the hand is over the shoulder. Lengthen the spine and then brace the centre enough to hold you in this shape as your leg pushes forward and your arms pulls back. Ribcage doesn't overlift, pelvis doesn't twist. Arm and leg back in and down. Same on the other side. So lift the leg, lift the arm. Lengthen the spine and squeeze the centre, and then push and pull and down. Same again. Lift the opposite arm and leg. Lengthen. Push the leg forward, pull the arm back. Pull them in, put them down. Last one, lift, extend, in and down. Stay with this or come to the double knee fold. So bring one leg up, tilt the pelvis slightly if need be, and bring the other leg up and bring both arms up. So we're in an upside down table, and we're going to keep this table shape through the torso as opposite arm and leg extend. Pull it in. So although your arm and leg are moving, I want your attention on this torso. So your rib cage stays fixed, your pelvis stays fixed as your arm and leg extends. Good. Pushing out. Lift the leg higher if it's feeling too heavy. Only bring that leg lower if you feel that you can maintain this line through your spine. That rhymes, you know. Push. And pull. This is our last strength move. Push out. And in. See if you can do it again. Squeeze that centre as the arm and leg travel. Make sure you're breathing, don't hold your breath. Rib cage moves for breath. Last one, push and pull. And in. Good job. Put your feet to the floor. Have your feet apart. Any hip replacements, just stay like this just to release the hips a little bit, but otherwise go into your twisting. It feels nice just after that one. So just let your feet rock from inside to outside of the foot. Let your knees rock. Good. Now you've got that smug moment where you think, I've just done pretty much an hour of exercise, thereabouts. I'm feeling very smug with myself right now. It's the best part of exercise, that smugness when you finished it. Good. And then we're just going to relax the back. So you can stay with your feet on the floor, or if it suits you, bring your knees into your chest and let your back just relax against the mat. Let the floor support you now. You've done your strength work. You can look for a bit of support. Hands around the front or back of the knees, wherever feels comfortable for you. Have the knees apart if you want to, about shoulder distance. Breathe, let the legs go heavy. Circle the feet a few times, it's good for your ankles and your circulation. To really allow your breath to lengthen and your shoulders to relax. A little few circles if you want to. You can circle the knees together following the same direction, or you can do them separate. Hip replacements, I will go back to the feet on the floor and go back to your twisting just to support that joint. Otherwise you can circle the legs round. Backwards and forwards with those knees, massaging your spine. And put your feet down, hands underneath you, will roll to your side, up to sitting. Reset your hips, bend your knees and let your weight come forward, relaxing the neck and shoulders. Breathe into your back, really expand those lungs. Fill up with air and push the air out again. Pull it in, right the way down and push it out. And then sit up nice and straight. You can put your hands behind you if that's more comfortable. Pull the shoulders back and lift your torso. Breathe deep. Don't worry, I'm not going to get you to do plank. This isn't a sneaky way to get you into another plank. Just getting a nice stretch for your upper back. Shoulders back and down and chest lifted. You can do it with your hands behind you or under your legs, whatever suits you. Bring your legs a little bit straighter. Sit up nice and straight and a little twist, looking round the side. Sit out of those hips. We put more pressure in the hips when we're sitting, so we don't want to add even more on by sitting badly. So reach up out of your head, stretch. And a quick stretch for the hips to finish. Not appropriate for hip replacements, the full stretch, but you can do a little bit to start with if you want. So if you straighten your left leg and bend your right leg and just hug yourself up towards your leg. Any hip replacement, this is as far as you're going to go. Otherwise, cross the right foot over the outside of the left knee. Sit up towards the leg. Put your right hand behind you just to push you up a bit higher. And use your left hand to hug, left arm to hug this knee across your body. Looking for a stretch in the outside of the hip there. If you want to add on to the stretch, that right hand behind you comes in a little bit closer, so across your body a little bit more, and then you twist to the right. Try the left side. So straighten this leg, right leg out, bend the left leg. Bring your knee, so it doesn't cross yet, it's just on the inside, and you hug yourself up towards it. Hip replacement, that's as far as you take the stretch. Otherwise, the left knee comes across and sits on the right side. Put your left hand behind you and push yourself up a little bit higher, and use your right arm to hug the knee across. That's where you'll get a stretch down the side. If you want to deepen the stretch, this left hand moves in towards the spine a little bit more, so in towards the centre of your body. Sit up straight and turn to the left. just to release the hips a little bit. And then uncross. Put your hands on your legs. Wrap yourself in that exercise smugness. Close your eyes and really enjoy it. Right, my dears, another one done. Well done. I hope to see you soon. We're creeping closer and closer towards physical, real classes again. So take care of yourself. Don't get ill now. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.